He was the highest scoring batsman in the recent World Cup, yet just a year before that he was dropped from the side. His teammates called him Jammy, the West Indians called him the Wall. Girls say he's cute and admins say he sells. But what is this cricketer actually like? And how does he live with his fame? Let's see if he tells us as we talk with Rahul Dravid. Rahul, in 1997-98 you were dropped from the one-day side, and yet this time you ended up the highest scoring batsman in the World Cup. Did you surprise yourself, or did you actually think this was going to happen?
I always had a bit of confidence in my ability. I knew that, when I get to England, the kind of conditions would suit me. And I always backed myself to do well. But to end up as the highest scorer in the World Cup, I think I did surprise myself there. Because with the kind of names that were there in the World Cup, people like the Tendulkars and the Wars and, the Laras and stuff, to be honest, I didn't back myself to be the top scorer in the World Cup. I always thought I'd do well, I always backed myself to do well, and you go out there, you're pretty confident that, try and do well. But to be the highest scorer, I did surprise myself.
So do you feel vindicated? Do you feel that you've actually won a personal challenge?
No, not really. I'm not, I was never there to try and win any personal battles with anyone. It's just, I think, internally, it's something that I feel I have accomplished, It's proved a point basically to myself, that, I can play both forms of the game. And it's something I've always wanted to do, succeed in both forms of the game. So it's not that I'm trying to, prove to the whole world or anything. It was always about proving to myself and, trying to achieve what the goals and the targets that I set for myself.
Okay, you were born in Indore into a Maharashtrian family. You grew up in South India and you were educated by Catholic priests. That's a pretty cosmopolitan background, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very strange actually. I mean, my mother's family was from Indore, so she'd just gone there for the delivery. But I've basically been brought up in Bangalore and studied at St. Joseph's Boys High School. So yeah, it's been quite, and we're Maharashtrian, so yeah, it's pretty cosmopolitan.
You're sort of pan-Indian in yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, you could say that, yeah.
Your mother's an architect and a painter, your father's a company executive. It's, I take it, a comfortable middle-class family?
Yeah, it was. I think typical Indian middle-class family, very, pretty comfortable growing up. There was, I don't think we had too much or we ever wanted for anything, both me and my brother. And nor were there too many chauffeurs and cars and stuff around as well.
They're just the four of you. Are you a very closed family?
Very, very close-knit family, actually. Just the four of us, and I think get along fantastically together. I think it's always been that way. We've been very close-knit. Things like even, we normally always had dinner together in the evening. Whatever happened, everyone would then come for dinner. Even now, when I'm in Bangalore and if I'm having dinner at home, I always make sure that I'm at home for dinner, and we always sit around the dinner table and talk about it. And I'm pretty close to my brother as well, so yeah, it's a very close-knit family, and I think that's the way my parents brought us up, really.
And you're personally determined to keep these bonds despite all the pressures of cricket and celebrityhood?
Very much, I think family's been very important to me. It is very important to me. I think that's a place where you can take the pressure away from the game, away from your game. I think it's very important to have a good family background and a good base, because when you're playing cricket, it's a lot of pressure. You're always in the media spotlight. One place where you can really be yourself away from the public glare, so to speak, is your family. They know you. They know everything about you, really. You can't lie to them, or you can't put up a face to them.
And they understand and forgive.
Oh yeah, I think so. They're fantastic, and it's not like there's been too much cricket in the family as well. In terms of cricket's never really discussed at home very much, and the fact that my parents don't really, they know that, after I come back from a tour, the last thing I want to discuss with them is cricket or technique. Or
and your brother, is he overawed by his elder brother, by the celebrityhood?
Not at all. I mean, he never took up cricket, so he never really took up cricket seriously, so that really shows he was never really overawed. Obviously, I think, he's had me as an elder brother, and maybe a little bit, in terms of the fact that all the attention is, in terms of the public, has gone to me and stuff. But I think he has a career of his own, and he's doing pretty well for himself.
Okay, you began playing cricket, I gathered, at the age of 12. At that age, was it just another game, or were you already beginning to think of it as a possible career?
I mean, when you're growing up, when you're really young and people ask you, and in school, teachers, when you're in school, they ask you, what do you want to become? It's a very common question. And you say, some people say a pilot, and some people will say, whatever, maybe doctor or engineer or something. And I always stood up and said cricketer. I don't know, from a very young age, I always wanted to be a cricketer. But then obviously when you start playing and then you see the situation, in the end you just love the game. You play it because you love the game and you just want to play it. I mean, you can't explain why you play it. You just go out there, all your friends are playing it, and you just want to play cricket. And I think it just builds from there. You don't think of it as a career initially. You just play it. Then you realize that, yeah, I'm pretty good at this. Yeah, maybe I can, maybe I can do something with this. I should.
So the enjoyment leads to the realization that you can play it professionally, and then comes the dedication.
Very true. I think it has to start with enjoyment. It has to start with a love for the game. A lot of kids, a lot of parents come to me today and say, how do I make my son a cricketer? And I tell them, you can never make your son a cricketer. You just got to become one.
Cricketers are born, or do they become one?
I think it's a combination. They have to love the game themselves. They have to start themselves. And then you've got to give them the right guidance, put them in the right place, and obviously see to it that they are looked after and given the right coaching and stuff. But in the beginning, the love must come from the child itself. You can't take your child to a cricket field and then see that he's not enjoying it, and then force him to go there. If your kid doesn't want to go for a net practice session, or he doesn't want to go out and play a cricket match, and I see a lot of parents taking their sons there, saying, thinking they're doing him a favor. I think that's wrong. You've got to want, the kid should actually be. I remember when I was, say, in school, I couldn't sleep the night before school matches, or because there's a match coming up next day, I wouldn't be sleeping. It was a school match. You're just dying to get out there and play. That's what has to happen, and that's inborn. And I think most cricketers, you talk to all your colleagues in the national side, and everyone has stories to tell you like that, where they just wanted to get onto the cricket field and just play cricket for the sheer love of it.
Okay, clearly you had the fire in you, but how much of the discipline that is essential to make a great cricketer came from your parents?
Quite a bit of it. I think my parents were never strict, to be frank. It was never like, do this, do that, this is what you must do. And never,
But in the early years, did they insist that you had to go to school, cricket came second?
Oh yeah, I think so. Obviously, cricket was always second for my parents, in the sense that, you come from a middle class background, and you know how risky cricket can be in sense in India. If you're not in the cream of international cricket, then there's no career really in cricket in this country. So my parents obviously wanted me to study and take up a professional course and stuff like that. But then they also realized that I had some talent in this game, and I could maybe play at a high level. So they said that obviously when I was growing up in school and stuff, there was like an unwritten rule at home that I had to produce a certain level of marks to be able to play cricket. Otherwise, I'm sure my parents would have just stopped me from playing cricket. They would have said, no, you better concentrate on your studies.
It was a sort of unwritten deal? You do well at school, you can play cricket. You don't do well at school, no cricket.
Definitely. That was an unwritten rule. There was no doubt. It was clear in my mind that every time I knew that there was exams coming up, I had to really get down there and study very hard. And a lot of support from school as well. I think my school, the principal and stuff.
So tell me, what did this mean for the young Rahul Dravid? You were under pressure to do well at school from your parents. You were under pressure from yourself to perform on the cricket field. So did this mean that the things that teenagers like doing, movies, dates, hijinks, you missed out on?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you then make a choice. It's not, I wouldn't call it pressure. You just start enjoying what you do. You want to play cricket. And you also realize after some time that, studies are important. They're very important. And you need to have a basic education, and you want that for yourself as well.
But when you missed out on the fun things of life, it didn't really matter to you because cricket was so much more important.
Yeah, it was so much more important. I remember, all my friends would go out to the movies or go out and party and stuff, and I'd be busy practicing or making up on homework, or if we'd gone on an under 15 tour, there's so much of notes to copy back and stuff, and I had to do all that and had not much time to party. But I never really felt that I was deprived of anything. You never felt that, oh, shucks, man, I should actually be with my friends. I never felt that. I was always more happy to be on a cricket field, and the joy and enjoyment I got out of playing that really compensated for anything that I missed out anywhere else.
But tell me this, what does cricket mean to Rahul Dravid today?
There's a nice T-shirt that I saw one of the Australian producers have on one of our things, and I borrowed it from him and said, cricket is life, and in small print it says the rest is mere details. It's yeah, I think that's what it's about. I think it's really cricket has been life for so many years now for me, and it continues to be so.
You think cricket is the reason for your existence?
It's a hard question. I don't know. At the moment, yes. I think over the next few years and for the last few years, yeah, I think it's the most important thing in my life. It's everything that I live for, and it's everything that it's the main thing that occupies my mind. But I don't know, it's the only reason why I'm here. Obviously, your priorities change as time goes on. And
how much of every day is taken up by cricket, and what's left for the rest?
Most of your time, and the amount of international cricket we are playing, most of the time is taken up for either practice, cricket. You're either then thinking about the games that are coming up, then there's, I read a bit of books on cricket and stuff. So most of your day is taken up for cricket. And then there is time, you have to take time off from that to then do other things, because too much of it will then obviously make you stale. So then you maybe read other books, listen to music, go out with friends a bit. But yeah, but I think 80% of your time is cricket, really.
Okay, we've led up to the point where the audience actually want to hear us talk a little bit about your cricket itself. We know that it, in fact, is life for you. Let's take a break and come back in part 2 and talk about how Rahul Dravid regards his actual cricket. Don't go away. We'll be back in just a couple of moments.